I want to talk about our next lesson is multiplying mixed numbers. We've taken a few minutes to talk about this in class today, but I wanted to make a recording that was a little bit shorter for you guys to work on. So our whole goal by the end of the class is that you can multiply mixed numbers. So we start out the lesson by kind of thinking about our cube strategy. I've got a poster in the room, but I want to write it down up here. You circle, this is our circle, any key numbers or words, or units I should say. Then we're going to come over here, sorry, my spelling's great. Underline the question. Underline the question. Okay, sorry about my E. Question. From there, I'm going to box keywords. All right, then we come over here and evaluate. So we're going to solve it, work the problem, make sure we've got everything. And finally, the last little thing is to solve it and check. Okay, do I have all the information, that kind of stuff. All right, so we take a look at the problem. So that's kind of what I wanted us to talk, and we talked about in class today, is just making sure we understand what all those pieces are. So we started off by saying, okay, we need to go ahead and circle all of this because we have both the number and our key verse, as well as the units that we have here, and tells me of what. So that's our first circle. Our second circle is going to be the 2 2/3 times. Okay, and then so then we got our two keywords. Sometimes you have extra information that we might need to circle, so always go through it, and then we evaluate based on what we need in the question. This question just has the basic information we need. Underline, then we box the fact that it says times, the idea of how many things we have here. So we set up a problem of 4 1/2 times 2 2/3. That says, okay, now we've got our problem. But one of the things we talked about is that you can actually multiply these a longer way, but it's much faster to go ahead and switch them to improper fractions. So to do that, you multiply the denominator and the whole number, and then add the numerator. Okay, so this would be 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9/2. And we come over here and do the same thing. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So we multiply times 8/3. Then we said, hey, we could just multiply straight across and go to 72/6, or I'm going to erase that 72/6 for a second. Or we can cross reduce, looking for the GCF between its diagonal pieces. So is there a GCF between 2 and 8? It's 4, it's 2. So we divide this one by 2, and we divide this one by 2, we get it to 1. We find a GCF here between 9 and 3. That's 3, so we divide this by 3, we get 3. Divide that by 3, we get 1. So we're left with 3 times 2 over 3 times 4. I wrote it wrong. 3 times 4 over 1. So that ends up getting me 12. And that's our final answer. When we came back to that 72/6 from earlier, all right, 72/6, that actually happens to be the exact same one. So we get the idea either way. Now the last thing we have to do is when we check it, is we go thinking through, okay, do I have my information? No. I need yards of cubic million, ION, yards, cubic yards. Okay, and we kind of talked in class just to get us a perspective of this. Most large trucks that deliver concrete, those mixer trucks, carry about 10 cubic yards. So you can kind of get an idea of how many trucks it would take to bring this load over. Now I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try our question with Adriana and her banana bread. In a couple moments, I'll restart the video and you guys can check it. All right, so we're going to follow our same process. We're going to circle our key things, brown, and then sugar's on the next line, so I'm just going to extend the circle, and then 5 1/2 times the recipe. So we've got this. How much brown sugar does she need? And then we have times again, similar to the same problem up here. So I'm going to change this and make my writing just a wee bit darker so it's easier to read, and change it to a different color. So you have 1 3/4 times 5 1/2. So again, we're going to set up that problem as 7/4 times 11/2. Now there's absolutely no simplifying I can do. There's no common factor between 11/4 and 7 2, so we end up getting 77/8. When we divide that, we get 72. The closest multiple of 8 is 72, so that's 9 5/8 cups of brown sugar. And it's important you have cups, because otherwise we don't know what the unit of measure, and brown sugar, not just cups. There's my final answer. All right, let's move on to the next question. So Let's take a look at Mr. Conrad. Now this time we got a mixed number and a whole number this time. So it's really not going to change because we're going to do the same thing with our whole number and turn it into an improper fraction. We just want to make sure we think about it. So we'll find out our cube strategy, 1 3/4 cups of pecans, 8 pies, okay? And then how many cups of pecans will he need? So how many, and then, now this one kind of has an implied thought process. It doesn't say each to make each batch, or each pie, but it's implied. So we know that there's an each, and we have each, we're gonna multiply it to find out how much it takes for total. So we're gonna say that same 1 3/4 times 8. So we'll rewrite it to 7/4 times 8 over 1. Again, looking for that greatest common factor. 7 and 1 carry no common factor because 1 is the smallest it will get. But 8 and 4 carry a common factor of 4. So I can just divide it down to 1 and divide this one to 2. So I get 7 times 2 is 14 over 1. So we can skip the 1. Cups of pecans. All right, and the last little bit I want you guys to do is I want you to try the recipe that Megan has for her chocolate chip cookies. All right, let's take a look at how this one sets up. Again, it's a similar problem. 1 3/4 cups of flour. 6 total batches. Okay. We know how much flour she needs. Same idea of having that boxed answer over there. So 1 3/4 times 6. Again, we're going to turn that into an improper fraction. 7 over 4 times 6 over 1. We share the greatest common factor of 4 and 6, takes it by 2, so that goes down to 2, to 3. So we get 21 over 2, and we can finish simplifying that. 2 goes into 21 10 times, and then half remainder. So it's 21 10.5 cups of flour. All right, that's a lot of flour. All right, so last thing I want you guys to finish up doing before we go too much further is think about how these are the same, how multiplying mixed numbers today and multiplying fractions times fractions is similar between the two. And then write me a quick couple of sentences to explain how that works. You can pause the video, and then when you're ready, you can see the answers when you're done. All right, so we talk a little bit about this, and the biggest key to it, and I'm just going to put bullet points. I expected you to have complete sentences, but it is almost the same since you change mixed numbers to improper fractions. Okay, you're going to follow the same steps. You're going to go numerator times numerator. Spelling that out. And then denominator, I'm going to abbreviate that one, times denominator. Okay? And it gives you the same idea, and then you simplify. You can do the same cross-reducing. You can do the same cross-reduce or cross-simplify. You can do that. There are lots of things how it's a very similar process. So it's something to keep in mind that you really are just taking and looking at it in a different way. Even though the problems start out differently, it's very similar in the process. All right, now you guys had a chance to take that through. So your homework tonight is to finish up those 10 problems that are after this in the notes.